Finney County, Kansas. Late June, 6:40 in the evening. A John Deere 8R370, a tractor that costs more than most houses, is driving at 25 miles per hour. The man driving it has 70 acres of wheat waiting in a rented field 18 road miles ahead, a storm building on radar, and a hired harvest crew billing $900 a day, whether their combine moves or not. 3 days of rain are coming. He works the math with a grease pencil and stops halfway. Behind him, grain trucks stack into a line he cannot see the end of. Then something passes the whole line pulling a loaded trailer, and it is not a truck. It is a tractor doing 40. He sets the pencil down and watches it shrink in the mirror. One thought stays: nothing green does that. What he does not know is that the machine that just passed him was designed in 1991 to solve the exact problem he is sitting in. John Deere has known about it for 35 years. Every one of those years, the company chose not to answer. To understand why that moment matters, you need to know what John Deere means in American farming. Deere has built tractors in Waterloo, Iowa since 1918. For most of a century, buying green was not a decision. It was the default. Roughly 1 of every 2 big farm tractors sold in North America is a Deere, and the machine is only half the story. Deere backs it with more than 1,500 dealerships, so a farmer almost anywhere can have a broken part on the counter by the next morning. It runs its own financing arm to fund the purchase, and used Deere tractors hold their value so well that farmers treat green paint like a savings account. That whole system is what business people call a moat. It keeps competitors out. But a moat built around one product is only as strong as that product's ability to solve the next problem. Through the 1990s and 2000s, American farming quietly changed shape. Farms grew by renting land wherever land came up for rent, so a single operation might now work fields scattered 20 or 30 road miles apart. The modern tractor spends serious hours, not in the field, but on the highway between fields. And Deere's tractor was built, in its bones, for dirt. Here is where the British come in. JCB is a family-owned company from Rochester, England, founded by a man named Joseph Cyril Bamford, who started out welding trailers in a rented garage in 1945. JCB made its fortune in backhoes and construction machines, equipment that spends half its life driving on roads, so its engineers thought about speed in a way tractor companies never had to. In 1991, JCB launched the Fast Rack. Picture a tractor built like a truck, suspension on both axles to keep it planted, and real disc brakes on all 4 wheels so it can actually stop. That combination made it safe and legal at roughly 40 miles per hour, while an ordinary tractor tops out in the mid-20s. JCB never claimed the Fast Rack could outplow a Deere in the field. It answered a different question entirely. How fast can you get from one field to the next? For a farm scattered across a county, that question is money. Quick pause. If stories like this one explain things you have watched happen in real time, subscribe. This channel works through one machine class, one corporate decision, one site at a time. The list is long. Now, back to Kansas. A custom harvesting crew based out of Garden City, Kansas. These are hired guns of the wheat harvest, crews that cut other people's crops for a fee and race the weather to do it. The crew boss has a demo Fast Rack parked next to his regular tractor and a stopwatch open on his phone. He hands his nephew the keys and gives him one instruction. The line is reconstructed, but it is the line the situation writes for itself. Run it to the grain elevator and back, and time it. The route that eats 50 minutes in the green tractor comes back in 31. The boss says nothing. He crouches at the front axle with a flashlight and stays there a long time, looking at brake discs where no tractor he has ever owned had brake discs. He keeps the demo through wheat harvest, buys it in August, and orders a second before Christmas. But one crew does not move a market. What moved the market was what happened in the 5 years after that first switch. So why did John Deere, with more engineers and more research money than almost anyone in farm machinery, never build a fast tractor of its own? Here is the mechanism, and it has nothing to do with engineering. Hardware sales are lumpy. A farm buys a big tractor once every 8 or 10 years, and on a revenue chart that looks like a spike that appears and vanishes. Wall Street pays far more for the other kind of money. Steady, predictable income that arrives every month, the way a phone plan or a streaming subscription does. Deere has told investors it wants 10% of its revenue coming from those subscription-style sources by 2030. Planting software, data services, and per-acre fees on self-driving features. Now look at a fast tractor through that lens. It means a decade of engineering money sunk into a new frame, new axles, new brakes, sold once per customer per decade, with no subscription attached to any of it. The executive who shelved the fast tractor was not trying to lose Kansas. He was trying to hit the revenue number. Those are not the same goal. When they conflict, the metric wins. The chassis lost to the subscription. The first fast racks in the grain belt went to the people who live on pavement. Harvest crews chasing wheat from Texas to the Dakotas. Spray operators covering ground for a dozen clients at once. But a tractor is only as good as the dealer behind it. And JCB barely had farm dealers in America. So JCB routed support through the construction dealerships it already had. Hundreds of locations that stocked parts for diggers and loaders, and those dealers took on the farm line. But doubt dies slowly, because green paint holds its value at trade-in, and nobody wanted to be first to learn what a used fast rack was worth. So scarcity answered for them. There were never enough used fast racks to go around, so prices held. And that number traveled the way numbers travel at harvest, over coffee, across the scale, on the radio. But Deere's answer, when it finally came, was not steel. It was software. Dashboards and route planners, subscriptions that helped a farmer manage the road time Deere's own machine could not shorten. Deere sold farmers a tool for scheduling the bottleneck. JCB sold them the machine that removed it. Which leaves the question this whole story turns on. If the fast tractor was such an obvious win, why could Deere not simply copy it? The answer is bolted into the machine itself. An ordinary tractor's brakes are sealed inside its axles, bathed in oil. That design is superb for slow, heavy pulling in a field, and hopeless for stopping again and again from highway speed, because the heat has nowhere to go. Its axles are solid steel with no suspension, which is fine in soft dirt and frightening on pavement at 40, with 20 tons pushing from behind. None of that can be fixed with an upgrade. A fast tractor is a new machine from the ground up. New frame, new suspension, new brakes. JCB could build one in 1991 precisely because it had no old tractor business to protect. Deere had the most profitable tractor franchise on earth to protect. And inside Deere, every proposal for that new machine had to compete against the software profits that made any hardware project look slow. The gap was never technical. It was accounting. None of this shows on a market share chart yet. Deere still sells roughly one of every 2 big farm tractors in North America, and the machines already in barns will run for decades, because fleets do not turn over overnight and green iron does not quit. But new orders are a different ledger. Every June, on every grain highway in Kansas, another line of trucks stacks up behind a tractor doing 25. And another driver watches something pass in the oncoming lane. John Deere spent 100 years winning the field. JCB won the road. American farming is now decided by the miles in between. And when those farmers finally decide to leave, they discover the exit has a toll booth, because leaving the machine is easy and leaving the dealer is not. What happens at that dealership door is its own story, and it is the next video on this channel. Subscribe so you are here when it lands.